Okay, everybody, this is Indigenous Monstrosity, and I am Monstrositus. Um, this is my Bible. You're gonna hear me talk about it. I've already mentioned it in a couple of videos. Um, this is where I keep all of my characters. I have origins. I have little stories that don't really connect to any character but waits for a character to be connected to it, like origins or abilities or how to use their abilities, something that comes to mind, but I didn't really have a particular character involved in mind, so I just wrote it down. So there's pages, there's even tabs that I have on this side of the book and pages, and some on the bottom too. I have tabs of tape that lets me know where um, um, my kids groups are, because first everybody, the adults are all just put in there. They're all randomly thrown in, however they come to me. Whether I usually, when I watch a movie or a DVD, I use, or a program, a TV program, and I can just start what do they call, marathon watching and binging. um, I'll turn on the closed caption or the subtitles so that I can watch and see anything that they say that's an interesting word that sounds like action in some way, or dangerous, menacing, uh, holds any kind of power whatsoever. And then I'll look it up, I'll write it down, look it up, get the meaning, and if I could work with it, I'll write something down. If I get an idea, I'll write it down. Sometimes I'll just write down what it means. So, and I could work from there. Anything that remind me what I was thinking of at the time when I wrote it in the book. And it was only supposed to be one book. This is three composition notebooks. One, two, three, and they're tied together with string. And right here is black canvas where the first book, the cover fell off, and I had to restitch it. This right here is the restitching, and I glued down a new piece of canvas, and then from a pair of jeans that I had that was probably torn or had holes in it or whatever. But anyway, and reconstituted the cover, and even right here, uh, it peeled up and bent and was breaking off, and I put a piece of plastic, that clear plastic that they wrap um, different items in, and you can't seem to open it without a special item to cut it open. Well, I put a piece of that in there, glued it down, and eventually I'll come over the whole thing with like a canvas book cover to help protect it and keep my sweaty hands and oils off of the book, because you can see how much damage is done. I created this book back in '95, and this my Bible contains over 10,000 possible characters. I say possible because there's not that many. Why is there an echo? There's a serious echo. Hold on. Yeah, that's better. Um, yeah, over 10,000 possible characters because, like I said, um, I don't really, they're not all developed. They're not all drawn. They don't all have origins. They don't have designs. There's only a handful that I've actually design and drawn. Um, Most of the drawings that I've shown in some of my other videos was just random things out of my head. Um, at the time I was riding the train, so I only had short periods of time to draw. I really didn't draw unless it was on the train or So going to work and coming back home, and so I would carry these folded 11 by 22, yeah, 11 by 22 cards that you put in the buses to advertise things. And on the back of it, I folded and then fold another one on top of that to protect it. So I would, made it into a book, and that's how I would draw. And it was perfect paper. It was free, and I loved the way the pencil responded to the boards. So I used to love drawing on it. So I had quite a few nice drawings. You've seen most of them, if not all. I don't have too many, but I'm a very good artist in my mind. It's for you to determine. I'm going to be showing you some ink work, but this Bible, I brought this. I'm showing you this so you can see that I've been working a long time. I have at least 20 something stories, not counting comic book stories, but just like novels. I wanted to write novels, so I have some stories that's just for novels, and I have some stories that I thought would be good as TV programs, and then I have good stories like The Glyph. I think that could be a good comic book story. I think it could be a good a movie, but it should be a little bit more extended, so maybe a season or two. I don't know how long because I didn't really develop that one too deep, so I don't know how long that you can get a series, whether it be 5 or 6 episodes. But it's mostly about like these sort of what do you call that, myth, uh, uh, where people, local lore, deems that a certain type of creature exists or people or whatever. Um, Not mythological, but anyway, they kind of urban legends. That's what I'm talking about. They're kind of like urban legends. Nobody really sees them. They're not supposed to be seen, and they have these abilities, and it's how they get the abilities that's the interesting thing. I'm not gonna tell anybody all my gritty stuff because why would I give away free stories? I would, but I have to make up something specifically to do that. I'm not gonna use something that I believe can be high value, just give it away. And the glyph is one. Um, like I said, they're like a group of urban legend type people who have these abilities. And I can say the first person to get it was a inmate, and he became extremely powerful. The story goes on. He's like some person that pops in here and there. He escapes from prison, and nobody can find him, and they find him dressed all, they see him time from time, dressed all fancy and, doing his thing, just casually enjoying his existence. So, um, it's kind of like they can't trust anybody, including other glyphs, because of the circumstances, which I can't discuss. But yeah, I think it's a really good story, and I have other stories. I think I have a good one. It kind of reminds me of older type programming and that I've seen before. But for these times in this era, I think it would fit right into these times, and you could get at least 6 episodes, I mean, 6 seasons out of it, maybe more. And if you do it right, uh, I was writing, I guess a screenplay or a teleplay for it, uh, I think I would do good. And all I would have to do is say a few words. So if anybody out there who wants to do some, I know people don't want no unsolicited this and that, and they don't want to. They don't want to. They want you to have something already prepared that's that they can see is already making money. But man, I'm telling you, some of my ground floor work just the ideas that I have. And I'm telling you right now, I am Mr. Idea. I got patent ideas that I'm trying to work on. I got this technical device thing that I wish that Shaq, I tried to get in contact with you, man, because I know you did that ring thing. So if you can get in contact with me in any way, you might be able to make some billions together. Because where the ring works with every household, one per household, we're talking about individual sales. So if you, ah, if you, sorry, I dropped something. If you was to be able to get in contact with me, I believe big payday. And but just don't try to rip me off, pal. I know you got all the connections. uh, that's my fears with all of this patent stuff. I hear lawyers are not trustworthy, patent agents are not trustworthy, and I don't want to pay somebody to steal something from me. And that's essentially what you got to do. You have to pay somebody. I went to one of those marketing companies like you see on TV. Call here if you have an invention. Those places are not invention places. They're marketing companies, and they're trying to get in on the ground floor on your thing. And I went to one of those places before, and they made me pay $1,000 for a patent search that I got for free later on from the Public Business Library. Brary, the Public Business Library. So they're ripoffs. You can do a lot of it on your own, but there's when it comes to actually writing up the patent and the description and all of that, you need an agent who knows all of the details, or at least a lawyer. And a lawyer is way more expensive than an agent. But it's hard to get any contact with any of those types of people. So anyway, I got ideas on stories of all kinds, but the story, as far as my comic book is concerned, is for now called Thug City. I call it that now because I'm still developing the characters. I showed, I'm going to do more videos about it with some of the, I showed in one of my other videos that two of the characters that I revealed were going to be in the story as leads. And these characters I'm working on, I never, one of them I had origin stories, and I worked on pretty extensively in his creation and origin. And so when I started, in an earlier video, I was thanking EVS, Ethan Van Sciver, and Just Some Guy, and your boy Zach for, well, they kind of inspired me because I had given up on drawing. I have not really drawn like consistently in years. And when I got into watching those videos that they were making, and I've actually seen how they had success with the Earthworm Jim stuff and the Buffalo guy that That's not mailing, is it? I think it might be mailing, but there's a lot, or is it Topel? Or I don't. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your names. I know it's one side or the other of the Comicsgate thing because I know they had a bit of a split. I'm not trying to get in the mix of any of that. I just want to draw and write some spectacular comics and have some in-depth storylines. Um, like I might have mentioned in other videos, I have in this book there's different sections for groups, cults, organizations, creatures, all types of things that I've created and put in this book. I have patriots, people that come from specific countries. Um, and they're all tagged along here. Um, Different organizations, um, kids, kid groups. I have maybe 1,000 kid groups. Uh, uh, Maybe 1,000 organization names. Uh, so I have a lot of stuff to work with, and uh, each book is just like I said, it's randomly out of my mind. I find something that's curious, I look it up. So I never build a character using analogs. If I'm using the word term right, analogs, where characters I see, oh, I'm gonna build me my own version of Superman. No, that's not what I do. I don't believe in. I don't. I. That's not how I wanted to create. I don't want. I grew up on Superman. I grew up watching the old George Reeves Superman. Um, to me, that's the Superman. He was big, burly. He had a rough, rugged look. Uh, so most of these other guys, like Christopher Reeves and that Roth guy that came out, they just look too nerdy or too pretty. That's not a Superman that I grew up on. I didn't even like Batman because of um, uh, the TV show back in the 60s or 70s. Uh, the, the What's his name? Burt Ward and Dick Grayson. I think no, uh, I forget the actors' names. Adam West, and Burt Ward, I think it was. But um, I didn't even like that show. I like the Green Hornet way better than I like the Batman TV show. So for me, all of these stories, uh, when I was coming up, we had generations worth of programming. We might have had only 2 or 3 channels, but the programs we watched, I watched my parents' heroes. Um, One of my favorite movies of all time is Angels with Dirty Faces with James Cagney, a mobster movie where him and Pat O'Brien used to do dirt as children, and James Cagney was just a little bit slower than he was, and what happens is James Cagney gets caught and goes to prison, becomes a thug. His boy gets away, goes straight, and becomes a priest, but they still remain the best of friends. And that's what gets me. Those stories where friendships, dear friendships, that people would do anything for each other and just understand each other for who they are. They don't try to change them. They just be their friend. And those are the stories that get me. And Angels with Dirty Faces, is that mobster stuff that has me crying at the end. Even to this day, I watch that story and I shed tears, long tears, behind James Cagney at the end of that movie. And if you ever get the chance to watch that movie, damn. So this is the type of stuff that I want to build. Later on, was the 90s with 24, or was that 2000? In the early 2000s, 24 hit the scene. Well, before then, I believe there was La Femme Nikita. It was I think a foreign show, but because it had a lot of foreign actors, Peter Wilson and the French guy who played Michael. Um, I forget his name. I just got finished watching the show. There's another thing I want to tell y'all, being that I'm always going to be mentioning the TV shows that I watch. I collect all of my DVDs and Blu-rays. I don't stream. I don't give my money to somebody else when you can be paying forever to watch the same programs that they have. By the time you finish paying to see something new, you're consistently paying for the programs that you've already watched. So eventually, you're going to pay more. Over 10 years, it might be over 20 years, but over that time, you're going to pay in the long run for something that you can own and only have to pay the one time. I don't understand why people in this today's era loves to give away their money to companies. When I was younger, companies, they didn't do right. They went out of business because people would not buy from them. And y'all people got people making phones that burn y'all up, and y'all keep buying from them. They poison you, you keep buying from them. Church's Chicken, I heard they closed out years ago for spermicide in their chicken. But I hear recently Church's is making a comeback. How? But anyway, these types of stories, 24, that in-depth, intriguing stories. I just got finished watching the 8th season of that. Because these are the types of things that I marathon that stuff. And I OD on cartoons. I got all of the, I hear my boy Young Ripper. I disagree with some of the ideas that he has, but I'm mostly on board with a lot of things that he says. I don't know what a libertarian is. I know I'm an old fart. According to you guys, what do they call me, boomers? I don't like that. I'm a banger. I'm no boomer. I'm a banger, son. But anyway, he says that the X-Men. Now he's renting the X-Men from Disney. I got all 5 seasons on DVD. I tried to get them on Blu-ray, but they didn't have them. But I got them all on DVD. I watch them when I want, how I want. I don't have to be online. I only paid for it once. I've been watching them to death, and I've known Morph what happened. And I don't know if Young Ripper knows, but Jubilee wasn't in the original X-Men. She was made specifically for the cartoon. So Jubilee came afterwards. They made a comic book after the success of the TV show. So, and for the intricacy of the stories, back when I was a kid, you see, parents watch TV with their children. So when we watch Looney Tunes, my parents watched those as kids, so we would watch those together. But today, see, so back then they made movies for children, but intelligent enough for parents to watch because they knew that you was gonna be there. But nowadays they make cartoons, well, at least the more adult ones for adults. And if kids want to watch, that's up to them. And then the stuff that they make for children is absolutely moronic. You really don't have no education going on with these cartoons that they teach these kids. Bugs Bunny taught me opera. Bugs Bunny, they remember when they used to have um he would get the best of Elmer Fudd or Yosemite Sam or Wild E. Coyote, one of them so bad, or the Roadrunner would do it, that they would just lose their mind and go. I'm sorry, I'm not insulting anybody, I'm just saying. They would go crazy and they would just hold up these cards. I forget what they called it. I'm gonna have to look it up and get back to y'all. But where they have the puzzles that fit together, to pictures puzzles that fit together to make a word, and they have like screw and ball, and they never gave you the answers. They just put it there, and you were supposed to figure it out. Bats flying out of a belfry. You got bats in your belfry. This is all saying that he's crazy or he's, wacko. And again, I'm not trying to insult. I know how sensitive you people out there today are. So I'm not trying to insult anybody with any mental, even though I don't believe I'm apologizing. This is being apologetic, and I'm not an apologetic person. But yeah, we learned that as children, little kids. And we figured out the puzzles. You only had a split second before he would pull out another card. You had bats in your belfry. You had screwball, and there was at least one more that I can't recall at this moment. But I even have a collection of the Looney Tunes. I got all on DVD or Blu-ray. I got Popeye the Sailor from the 40s. That's way before my time. But I love Popeye. I grew up on Popeye. He had adventures where he was Alibaba or Arabian Nights or all kinds of things. Sinbad the Sailor. Y'all don't know about these stories because y'all throw them away because they're patriarchal or chauvinistic or... Come on. I don't like racist about black people, but I know that people like John Wayne was racist, but I still watch his movies. I just got finished buying a few of his movies people say they don't like nostalgia. Nostalgia like a Rassafrassa over here. Sorry if I gotta get Yosemite on y'all. That's my Yosemite. That's my way of cursing, like Yosemite Sam. You Rassafrassa Zagarats. So that's my Rassafrassa. So you guys, I watch all of those cartoons. I'm in my 50s. But I also collect all those old detective shows like Mannix, Cannon, Starsky and Hutch, the original Hawaii Five-0. Y'all don't know about that stuff. There's stories from back in those days with spies and all types of, what was that, the Cold War? Back in the days, that's all we grew up on. Cold War this, Spy that, James Bond, Sean Connery. That's the only, him and my boy Pierce Brosnan. Those are the only, Roger Moore, horrible. He's weak, in my opinion. He's a moist boy, in my opinion. He was great as a Saint, but you can't you can't take Sean Connery. You can't take Sean Connery. You can't take Sean Connery. Connery. I haven't done those voices in a while, so I have to practice. And then with these headphones on, it's hard to hear the cadence. Uh, I get like a feedback where I can't hear my voice. It's a delayed 1 split second, so I'm like hearing an echo. And if I could hear my voice directly, I can get my cadence right because I used to do all of those voices back in the day. I even used to do the Joker, my boy Mark Hamill. When I figured out it was him doing the Joker in the Batman uh, animated series, Mark Hamill is the only person that does the Joker in my book. Nobody does it, and I have all of those animated movies. The DC stuff, I got the early Marvel stuff, but the Marvel stuff is a little more child directed. I don't know why they never got the adult versions working. They do great with the cinematic stuff, but when it comes to their animation, they just dropped it off and said, the hell with it. We ain't doing that no more. And DC picked it up and flew with it, because I got all those early movies, Sub-Zero, the Mystery of the Batwoman, I think it was. There's a couple of Mr. Freeze ones where he came back, and I think he was trying to... Mr. Freeze was a repetitive character. He always showed up in the animated series. But I really started liking Batman. The first part was pretty good, but I didn't like... I think a lot of his character, his bad guys, was corny for me. The Riddler, the clock dude, or what's his name? So I'll remember it. I always do that when I'm looking for the word, and then the name and it'll pop up as soon as I go on to something else. But yeah, Fugus, Mr. Don't Waste Time. Yeah, I didn't like I like Poison Ivy. I like Bane. Loved Bane, loved the Joker, and I love Joker and Harley. I love those two together. Harley is my girl. I just love the dynamic between those two. That's began my love for Batman, but I didn't really start loving Batman until he moved from, I don't know, I think it was Fox back then. And then they moved to Pix, and Pix already had the Superman show, and I was all into Superman. I liked Superman. That was the best I ever seen, because to me they made Superman way too strong. There's nobody who could beat him. But the cartoon changed my mind. They had all of these bad guys that just made him look bad, and he had to use his intelligence. He just couldn't be brute, even though Superman is for the most part is a brute strength type of character, but he uses his intelligence and his brute strength in combination to defeat his enemies, and that's what I love about him. But what really set me off about Batman is when he came to Metropolis. And I'm going to have to do some videos, because I shouldn't be interrupting my Bible for this. But I really want you to understand how I think and the stories that I'm into. I have all of the DC movies, all of them, all of the good ones. The ones for TV, more for the younger audiences. I stay away from those. and the last one with the Fatal Five, because to me it was highly insulting that they got rid of two black actors to bring in these two women, and they could have kept those guys. I don't see why you have to get rid of. How is that diversity when you get rid of the two black actors? I know only one of those characters was physically black, but the Martian Manhunter, in my view, was a black man, because I knew Carl Lumbly, the actor from Alias, and that's another one of my favorite shows. Another one of those shows that when I wanted to start writing, I talked to my mother, because I had moved back home to help take care of my father who had a stroke. And so I moved back home, and when I told her I was trying to learn how to write novels, she she got me a subscription to Writer's Digest. So I learned a little bit about how to set up stories and stuff like that. And I began writing a uh, stone god story. I was deep into, back in the days, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and Return of the King. They was created by the same people. Well, not the Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was separate, but The Hobbit and the Return of the King was made by the same people who made Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, and all of those Christmas claymation stories, Rankin and Bass. And Rankin and Bass also made Thundercats, the original Thundercat show. And I got that too. Like I said, I buy all of that stuff. I tried to get the Herculoids and my boy Thunder the Barbarian. Oh, I love that show. It's Saturday mornings back in the 80s. And I was getting it. I ordered them from Amazon for like $18 each, somewhere like that. And they said both of them was in stock. And then when it came time to shipping them, they never shipped them. Then they just canceled the order, and all of the prices was raised to like $26, $28. So this is what's going on, man. They're pricing us out. They're trying to force us out of being able to own our own products, man, to be a consumer. Because people who want to stream are too lazy to own the hard copies. They want to give all of the power away to the companies, and the companies are just going to take it. And y'all think y'all are being, oh, this is more convenient. No, it's not more convenient. It's foolish. Why give away your only power? No matter what they do, if you have your version at home that you could watch, they could raise the prices on on those streaming and whatever they do, but they won't be able to but they're making their properties. I'm going to make a video about that. I got to learn how to focus. So the Bible and all of my stories with these the Rankin and Bass making Thundercats and all of that, this is great storytelling. The action from those cartoons, even though people didn't get killed, like in G.I. Joe and Transformers, the action, it was always something happening. There was always some team going against this team, so you learned. And I got the G.I. Joe, I got Transformers. Like I said, I got the old original one where they did kill people, Johnny Quest, made for adults in my opinion, because the storytelling was good, the animation was good, made by Hanna-Barbera, and those guys were good. This was when American animation was in style. Max Flasher with Superman, the original Superman animations, and Popeye. These are what American. Now everything. No, I don't care who wrote it. Everything gets shipped to China, Korea, Philippines, somewhere like that to get animated. Everything in America. So this is not good. What about American animators? All we can do is CG. I think that's bad. I think that's bad. But I love anime. I got all of those old anime joints that nobody talks about. Princess Mononoke, um, Akira, y'all talk about that. I got Fire and Ice. That's an American joint from back in the day. Really simple and basic story. Good against evil, fire against ice. That was one of my first animated movies where people died. The Lord of the Rings, my first animated movies. One of my first animated movies where people died. Um, and blood, you see blood. It wasn't flying all over the place like today, but that's what got me into all of this animation and cartoons. I got another one called The Legend of Orin, the Last Star Chaser, or The Legend of the Star Chaser, or something like that. Excuse me. I don't know. It's like I'm allergic to the mic or something because every time I start making a video, I get the sniffles. I sound like I'm a cokehead or something like that. But I'm not allergic to anything. But every time I get on there and start making the videos, my early videos was horrible. I was sniffling and hawking and doing all, even the comic book one that I did with the Bendis, that Angels of Destruction garbage. I didn't know they had SJW comic books all the way back in the 90s, but that one proved me wrong. I really understood what um Zach and them was talking about, Comicsgate is talking about, when I realized I actually owned one. But yeah, all of these stories is what helps to guide my story. And yeah, let me get out of here. But I want to tell you that it's a deep, intense story. It's gonna be have my leads. I'm gonna have at least 2 to 3 leads in these. I'm gonna have one staggering off another. The origin stories you're gonna be able to follow. My lead guy, the origin story is intense, and it helps world building, my world building, and sets up characters coming down the line after I get the initial opening stories based and set up, because I have this, like I said, this Illuminati group, and like I said, every time I try to like just have some characters put in, like my Illuminati group, they got front men, and creating the front men, I just basically went into the Bible, found a group, and said, yeah, they would make good front men, threw them in there, and then when developing the front men, a whole other storyline opens up that I have to address, and in their origins, and this creates more, and I have other guys that I need to get defeated, so I throw them in just to keep this action up. People to protect people, um, uh, basically like hired gunmen, hired muscle. I got all of these guys coming into the story for different sections, and it's just opening up the story so vastly. Uh, and then with the origin story of my main character, that hopes to open up stories down the line too. And it got even more vast, and it was unintentional because now I have, like I said, down the line, I don't know how long this is going to be. I'm an older person, but I'm hoping to get at least 4, 5, 6 years, maybe even 10 years. And with the stories that I got and the characters I got intergalactic beings, I've got galactic beings, I have universal beings. So introducing these guys, uh, they just it just makes, I just can see down the road. And I'm trying to stay focused on the present day, but I do have to keep it in mind where my story's gonna go. I'm sorry. And so it's just opening up beautifully for me. So all I have to do really is weave. I have characters like you hear Zach talking about, and I'm gonna get on you too, Zach. I'm sorry, but I have to do it. I'm not trying to insult you, but the way you did make cuff cuffs, and I haven't read the story. I've only listened to some reviews, but I've listened to the words right out of your mouth, man. And you did give him a jacked up origin compared to the rest of your guys. So I'm going to make a video explaining that. And you said to be critical, but do it in a way that you can learn. Well, I'm going to do it in a way for every white guy who's going to make, because it's not just you. It seems that there's a lot of white guys that's trying to underhandedly insult black men. I don't know if Robert Kirkman did it in his comic book, because when I was going to buy the first #1 issue, um, I decided against it because I was trying to learn color theory back then. So he did his in black and white, and so I kind of skipped on his opening books. And if his characters are basically a whole lot similar to the characters in his story, the black men, every last one of the black men in Walking Dead are insults to black men everywhere. Every last one except one. So I'm gonna make a video about Robert Kirkman, and I'm gonna and The Walking Dead, and how people be insulting black people underhand to try to be. I don't know how many black people watch it, but I watch it. I even bought the seasons. I'm telling you, I like the show because of the zombies. I grew up on the Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. I used to, when I was a kid, sneaking to see it late at night, 12 o'clock at night, to try and see The Walking Dead, or the Night of the Living Dead was the thing, because you couldn't watch that. My parents wouldn't let me watch it. Or The Blob with Steve McQueen. I couldn't watch those things. My parents wouldn't let me watch it, so I had to sneak to watch it. And those are things. And then in the 80s with the Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. So I loved Nicotero. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to butcher your name. Nicotero's work. Ever since then, my boy, I love that stuff. But the show is racist. The show, the show hates black men. They want to bang our women, yeah, but they want to teach white. They want to me, they're saying, black women, you need to get with white men because your man ain't shit. Because they all, every last one of those black men are moist. Every last one of them. Down the line, from Morgan all the way down to both shows. Fear The Walking Dead, moist niggas. Every last one of them is doused. They've been doused. Them niggas is drenched. Ain't no moist. Them niggas is drenched. So, and just because I love the show because of the zombies, and I stopped watching it after the whole Negan getting his throat cut thing, because that's when it fell to all out man hating. The what do they say in the Flintstones? The women haters club. Good. Y'all gotta watch the Flintstones. They had a oh no, that was the food. That was the one with the food. But I do believe there was an episode with the Women Haters Club. I gotta watch my Flintstones. I do have that collection. I haven't watched that in a few years, so I gotta watch that collection. But yeah, watching these cartoons and I'm gonna do some videos about how not to disrespect your black characters. I got a lot of white characters, and you're gonna see them in my story, and not one of them am I gonna, under my breath, go soft, weak, moist. I'm not gonna do it. I love my characters. I don't care what color they are. I love my characters, and I'm not gonna insult them just to say I got you back. So I'm gonna, if this necessary for the story for for the white character to be weak, they're gonna be weak. If it's necessary for the story for the black character to be weak, they're gonna be weak. I know Zach knows better because of all of his videos. He's always talking about good brother and this guy and that guy. So I'm gonna have to get at you, Zach. I made the video. I made the thumbnail a while ago, but I just couldn't find the video that you said. Why are all SJWs afraid of a strong black man? So I wanted to use that to ask you, and I don't know if I can make the video, because I understand something about YouTube law. You can't, rules. You can't use people's content. I don't know. I see people using the content all the time, but I don't know. So I don't want to get penalized and kicked off for using people's content. So I will have the video. I did write down the names. I'm gonna make my titles a lot shorter so that you can pinpoint it. Where if I say something wrong, I can go right back to it. But your titles are so long, it's hard to pin down. So you got to write a paragraph just to remember which video. But I did it. I think I got about 5 or 6 videos where you say certain things that I'm gonna have to rebut. So, and show how you disrespected Cuff, cause Cuff's his story is just, his origin is weak. He's a pussy compared to the other characters. And you know it, because like I said, you do these videos, and almost any video you do it as a black dude, you explain. And you did the same thing that dude who did, oh man, what was that? They got a Netflix, The Boys, where I'm gonna do the video, but he connects his bitch mode. He connects his bitch mode to his powers, so he has to remain a bitch all throughout the story. There's no getting over it. It's ridiculous what y'all do. But like I said, I'm not mad. I'm just pointing it out. I see you. That's all I'm doing. I'm a flashlight cop. I see you. I'm a security guard. Flashlight cop. I see you. That's all I'm saying. I'm not firing no shots. I ain't begot no weapon. I just pointing it out. saying, hey, if you don't want to write no simple sorry brothers, then don't write no simple sorry brothers. Okay, people, this is Monstrositus signing out from an indigenous monstrosity. And please, if you like the video and what I had to say, and if you want to hear more, please help me out. I'm gonna have to start a Patreon, a Facebook, and I already got the name for my website, and then so that I can post some of my artwork and stuff like that. So I just got to build the site. So, like I said, I got a lot of work to do. So long, guys. But share the video. This stuff is going to help me until I can get a Patreon and maybe a what's that? PayPal account and all of that stuff to help fund these videos and my projects and everything, because they're going to get expensive. I can't wait to show you my cloth figures. I'll talk to you later.